It's Friday, January 2nd, 2026. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields, and a happy new year to you. This is what we've been tracking on Snow Bros. Thank you for taking the time to subscribe. Matt Makins and I have been highlighting this as active as it gets, just about as active as it gets, back toward the west coast of the United States, pulling back toward British Columbia. Look at this spin that's going to be working in. Huge rain and huge snow totals. This is on top of what we've already had over the last few weeks. Very high concern. I can't stress that enough in these locations. So just kind of giving you a feel, higher terrain. We work our way back toward the Tahoe area, an additional couple feet of some snow. I'll highlight this further, work our way into interior sections in just a moment, but also the rain. We take a look at California. Of course, this is the snow. We'll have the snow totals here, but if we just kind of take into account the amount of water, we're going to see some spots getting an additional 2 to 4 inches of some rain. That's going to lead to very quick and dangerous runoff, a very high risk of flooding. I can't stress that enough in parts of California in particular, and then we'll be dealing with the very high terrain snow and significant snow totals. We're going to break that down in this video specifically. You already see what's happening here. You get back toward, as we work our way towards, say, Utah, Colorado, Idaho, Washington, Oregon, already some of that snow, some of that rain moving in, but this is just starting. We have that big spin sitting offshore. That's what's going to be moving in this weekend. If that's not enough, a huge lake effect snow that we're going to see coming off of Lake Michigan, Superior, watching Ontario, watching the Syracuse area. I want to highlight that as well. And you could see it right here. These bands of snow, the significant flow coming off of the water, coming out of the northwest, driving off toward the east. You see these bands in this feet of snow. We're going to highlight that as well in just a second and break down the snow totals, what you can expect all the way through the weekend. Now let's start here with this big spin, and it only gets worse moving in. Watching around Vancouver, higher terrain, we work inland. That's where we'll have the snow. There's the snow right throughout parts of the Rocky Mountains, Sierra Nevada, back through Tahoe in particular. Higher snow amounts, but the rain amounts significant. Watching that, watching Seattle, Portland, down through San Francisco, all the way down through LA, that chance of some rain. This here is on Sunday, a significant push of rain. And then, yes, it will be working inland in spots. Higher terrain, that snow that we'll be measuring in feet, the rain, an additional 2 to 4 inches, and then we get another kick by Monday. It's not done. It's really that atmospheric river, kind of a fancy term for a pattern, getting locked in, drawing that moisture off of the Pacific, keeping an eye on Alaska as well, kind of getting brushed by over toward Juneau, and then bringing some additional rain and some snow. But this here, another batch that will be moving in, watching that over toward Sacramento, building back toward Reno, watching Nevada, additional rain and snow all the way into next week. Now we swing over here. I mentioned the lake effect stuff. We've got a couple systems though that are going to be clipping by. You get over toward Newfoundland, getting brushed by some of that snow. Southern U.S. watching out for some of that rain that will be moving off of the Carolinas, right? But it's really the lake effect snow in the short term. And then as we get deeper into Sunday, you see coming out of Winnipeg, crossing the Great Lakes, that shot of snow there. So not only lake effect snow, but the second half of the weekend into Sunday night and early Monday, we're going to see a shot of snow right through the Great Lakes. So watching parts of Ontario, Quebec, New York, watching Michigan in particular, even parts of Wisconsin and Minnesota getting brushed by some snow. So let's highlight some of these snow totals for us. Now, this is the breakdown, 3 days. So taking us through the weekend, today, tomorrow, into Sunday. And as I mentioned, we know there's going to be even more into Monday. We're looking at 30 centimeters or 12, 13 inches of some snow as you get over towards some of the resorts, north and west of Vancouver, watching out for some of that additional snow. Here's some of the snow, and you can see the yellows in here, which could be about 10 inches as we work our way into the higher terrain over toward Washington. Oregon will have some of the spots that will be over 3 inches of rain, 3 to 6 additional inches of rain. We swing towards some of the resorts, some of the ski resorts, higher elevation, north and toward the east of Boise, for example, with some snow working in. So all of this moisture really builds in, but this may be catching your attention, this kind of deeper purple, almost this black shading that is simply off the scale here. This is what I was mentioning. Well, we're going to be dealing with 2 to 4 inches of rain in some spots, high risk of that very quick runoff. That's why I talked about that right away. Friday, the higher terrain, we're going to see those huge snow totals of 1 to 2 feet plus, even higher than that in some spots as we work our way through the weekend. And then we'll tack on more snow as we work our way into next week. We work our way a little bit more into our interior sections coming out of Nevada, working our way toward Utah, over toward Colorado. Watching over toward the Rocky Mountains for about 1 to 3 inches of some additional snow. Higher, of course, in some spots, depending on exact location. But we'll see some of this moisture that will be feeding across. Now, I mentioned late on Sunday, here's Winnipeg, and then we swing all the way back through Toronto. This here, we're going to see a quick shot of some snow. This little system moving in by late Sunday, sweeping by, could give an additional 1 to 3 inches of rain, rather snow. Could be a little bit more, could be as high as 2 to 4 in some spots. But keep in mind, in certain areas, we're dealing with that lake effect that is already happening that I mentioned over toward Lake Superior, watching Ontario. You get back toward Syracuse, right in through here. See that purplish shading in there? Just depending on where this band sets up, 7 to 14 inches of snow will be possible. And we'll see some similar areas of that just with that lake effect snow machine. And then kind of curling away. New England really in between. Not a whole lot for the most part. We work our way back toward Vermont, New Hampshire. We could get an inch or two of some snow, some additional snow, even an inch or two as we work our way south, back toward a snowshoe as we work our way into West Virginia. But these systems kind of curling back toward parts of eastern Canada. This here in centimeters, not leaving anyone out. Swinging back toward Nova Scotia, not a lot, just kind of getting brushed by, but clipping by the Avalon Peninsula, where we could see some spots. This here, the European model through tomorrow night, showing anywhere from about 10 to 14 centimeters of some of that snow that will be possible. So it could be, well, it won't be widespread. It will be significant where it happens. So watching that for my friends in the Atlantic region of Canada, keep an eye on the Maritimes with these systems kind of curling up and curling around. So that atmospheric river, that continues for parts of California in particular, but impacting all the way through British Columbia with intense flooding and those very high snow totals that we're watching. The rain is a concern again. We've already had it. We've already had the issues, and we're adding on 2 to 4 inches of some rain, maybe a little bit more in some spots through the weekend. And then going on right now through the weekend, the lake effect snow with some heavier bands, over a foot of snow in some spots. But then we get that secondary system that will be moving by. We'll keep an eye on eastern Canada as these systems kind of curl up toward Newfoundland and the Avalon Peninsula. And deeper into the month, just kind of looking long term, it looks like a better chance as the month goes on that we could see some East Coast U.S. systems, potentially some nor'easters building. And that's what we'll be tracking on this channel. So thank you for hanging with Matt and I as we work our way through the season. Definitely subscribe so you can get those notifications first if you're subscribed as we put out more updates. We've got you covered right here on Snow Bros. I hope you have a great weekend ahead.